Shalom. Shalom, shalom. Yashrala, Yahawada. Brother Malak, I'm back with the biblical lesson breakdown. I want to give all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah Kadash, Barakadai Yahweh, Barakadai Yahweh Shai, for this wisdom, knowledge that that succeeds everything. This wisdom, this knowledge succeeds everything. Perfect segue into the lesson. The title of this lesson is what would a man of the Lord, or even a woman of the Lord, but chiefly a man of the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Yahweh, what would that man be doing in his time? Well, according to biblical prophecy, according to the scrolls, that man would be occupied in prophecy. So you have to realize what's our true occupation. Here we have our daily measures, our daily bread in this physical realm, and what we do and what not. But our true profession, you hear the birds singing, confirming. The bird is confirming what I'm saying, I guess. But the true occupation is these prophecies. That's our true occupation. The apostles, the scholars, the prophets. Sirach 39:1 on down, it says, but he that gives his mind to the law of Yahweh and is occupied. So what is our occupation? What are we occupied in? It says occupied in the meditation thereof. Will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecies. He will keep the sayings of the renowned men. Who are the renowned men? You know, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, King David, King Solomon. Matthew, Paul, Zechariah, Zephaniah, Hezekiah, Ezra, Yahushai, Hamashiach. Sirach 39:2 or Ecclesiasticus 39:2, it says he will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also. He will seek out the secrets of the grave sentences and be conservant in dark parables. And yeah, that's the truth. And this is the reason why we can break down this Bible so well. Because we're those men. Prophets, apostles, scholars, the real scholars. Real bloodline as well. Like we're the real deal Holyfield. The Voronet icons, the Russian icons, the Voronet icons, which is the Roman artwork of the first church. The Voronet icons is the Roman artwork of the first church, and the Russian icons obviously is the Russian artwork of the first church. And they're all black. They're all black men, Negro black men, even to some Hispanic and Latin black men, brown men, Israelites. So, you know, these are the secrets. These are the mystery secrets, the puzzles that when you come into this faith, when you come into this walk, that you unravel. Amos, prophet Amos, chapter 3, verse 7. It says, surely Yahweh will do nothing, but he reveals his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. So when we tell you we're the prophets and the apostles and the scholars, we are. Because you have to understand this, you have to be part of the elect, honestly, to really understand the Bible, these biblical scrolls. So let's bring it on home. Let's bring it all together. You know, the elect men, or the elect woman for that matter, but chiefly the elect men or man of the house of Judah or the house of Israel, will be occupied in biblical prophecies. He will be meditating on spiritual things. Not saying that that's all he's going to be doing, even though that's really much all he will be doing. You know, you still have other measures in life, but you know, you see, you hear, your main course meal, if you will, or so to speak, will be being occupied in prophecies, watching the signs of the times, hasting the coming of Hamashiach Yahushai. And he's here. He's close. He's here. We don't know how long it's going to be, but he's definitely here. The signs are everywhere. You have volcanoes, and I kind of went into this lesson already, probably 2-3 days ago, but I always say, what do I tell you people? And I mean that in a humble way. What do I tell you people? The Father of perfection is repetition. The Father of perfection is repetition. Repetition is the Father of perfection. So we may go over these lessons all the time, these precepts, these scrolls all the time, but repetition makes perfection. Repetition is the Father of perfection, or the Father of perfection is repetition, however you want to mix it and mingle it. But yeah, man, you have volcanoes erupting. You just had last week 9 to 12 volcanoes along the coastline that all activated. You got another volcano that erupted in Russia. Think about that. Russia was hit with an earthquake of 8.8. It was an 8.8 magnitude earthquake that hit Russia. Then it caused a tsunami that somehow traveled to Hawaii. Then Russia just had a volcano that just erupted, and they say this volcano haven't erupted in the last 500 years. So look at that. You have Russia and you have Vladimir Putin. You have Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, having a pissing contest. They're having their pissing contest. So, Trump supposedly sent 2 submarines over, and supposedly Vladimir sent some submarines or something over, or so everything is caking up, is beefing up. And this is all biblical prophecy. You had Russia versus Ukraine. They were blowing each other up. You had Iran and Iran and Israel blowing each other up. And then you had Cambodia. Was that Cambodia? Cambodia was beefing with somebody, one of their neighbor nations. So that spirit, Yahweh is putting that spirit of vengeance, that spirit of division. Peace. Think not that I come to send peace on earth. This is what Yahweh Shah said. This is why we tell you that, yeah, stuff will die down. It's okay. It'll die down for 3, 4, 5 months, maybe a year, but it'll pick right back up. Because Yahweh Shai HaMashiach is not coming to send peace and totality. The peace that everyone seeks for. That peace is as far as just no type of drama, no type of war, no type of dramatics. That's not going to be until the kingdom of heaven. And really, in the kingdom of heaven, it still ain't going to be any peace, because that first 1,000 years of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shah's kingdom, is going to be something. So even in the kingdom, so to speak, is not going to be, when you really dissect it, because you nations, you're going into captivity, and y'all are going to build the kingdom of heaven up for 1,000 years. Thus says the prophecy. Thus says Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah. Revelations 13:10. He that leads in captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience of the saints. So peace, there's no peace right now. Peace. And ultimately that peace is going to be for the Israelites, for that first 1,000 years. But eventually, after that 1,000 years is done, there will be peace, because that's when the other prophecies play along. Isaiah 2, Micah 4, Isaiah 60, 61, 62. That's when it's going to be peace, after that first 1,000 years. Eternal peace. But right now, from that 1,000 years on, all the way back to this present day right here, there's no peace. It says Matthew 24 chapter. It says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, this is Yahweh Shai, the disciples, the 12, it says they came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of your coming and of the end of the world? And I just mentioned to you earlier within the lesson, the signs that's taking its course: volcano eruptions, rumors of wars, actual wars, proxy wars, division, civil unrest, rumors of wars. That one rumor is the aliens are coming this November. That's a rumor of war. NASA scientists, or some NASA scientists, or some individuals working with NASA say they see these galactic spacecraft. You have these so-called Israelite, they are Israelites, not so-called, but you have these so-called black truck drivers that's supposedly coming up missing. So civil war is brewing. Civil war is brewing. Truck drivers coming up missing. Aliens supposed to be coming this November. Wars, rumors of wars, Iran in America, and then you had Iran in Israel, and then you had Russia and Ukraine, and now you got America and Russia having their little spat. So it's all coming to plan. The scenes, man, they're playing out right before your eyes. It says, Matthew 24:4 says, and Yahweh Shai answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars. I just got into that. And rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And we know the end is not yet because you still have great tribulation. All of this is the beginning to the climax of the breakout of great tribulation. These are the sorrows that's going to build to the great tribulation, and then the great tribulation takes its course. So that's how we know the end is not yet. Another reason why we know the prophets, the apostles, the scholars, those that's understanding prophecy. Another reason how we know that the end is not yet, because this little thing called the MO to the TB, as I call it, or as I called it in times past, the potato chip. The potato chip, or the MO to the TB, that is not yet structured all the way. You know, it's here. And people have it. Switzerland. I did a video, a lesson on it a while back, man. You have these Edomites and other heathens, and you Israelites, some Israelites as well, that got it. You know, they it was countries like Switzerland, Sweden, Australia, America. These countries and whatnot. People, you know, people do have these chips. And these RFID tracking and tagging devices. Just as the prophecy, just as the Holy Bible says there would be. Matthew 24. It says, and ye shall hear of wars, rumors of wars, see that you be not troubled, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. It says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences. You have a famine right now, I believe, in Gaza. Those kids starving in Gaza. Famines, you know, you got kids starving in Africa. So famines, pestilences. Right now, man, you have the one pestilence that's taking over America right now is STDs. STDs, man, a pestilence. Sexual transmitted diseases. STDs are at an all-time high in Babylon right now. So that's a pestilence that Yahweh is using to judge the judge the Israelites and to judge you heathens, because the spirit of adultery and fornication is very rampant in this kingdom. The spirit of adultery, the spirit of fornication is very rampant. That's why you have these STDs, these outbreaks. You know, Texas, Atlanta, I believe Miami, Texas, and Atlanta. A lot of fornication. A lot of I ain't gonna even say probably. A lot of adultery. So people are just, you know, casual sexting. Casual sexing. Hooking up, the hookup culture, right? Fornication, right? And this causes diseases, because ultimately you women, you're not built the same way like a man. You're not supposed to just be having sex with every man you see fit, because your body is not built like a man's body. A man is able and created to do so, but you women are not. And that's really what's the spread of diseases. But then, you know, I have to break it down too to another faction. You DL men, you men that's on the DL. You know, you undercover brothers, you DLs. You know, you're spreading that filthy bug, that filthy pestilence as well. Because sodomy is unclean. Sodomy It's not what Yahweh ordained or created anyway. So you DL men and you fornicating women. You're spreading pestilences via STDs. Matthew 24:7. It says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places." You just had that 8.8 earthquake. You just had floods in China. You had floods in Texas. You had a flood in New York a couple days ago, maybe a week ago. Every time you watch the news, there's always something, some flood, some earthquake. You know, you had the wildfires at the beginning of the year. Well, the beginning of the summer, maybe like in June on the West Coast. So it's just a lot of judgment going out. It says, "Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended." And that's talking about some of the elect. It says, "And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another." You see that out. You see this taking its course every day. And then shall many be offended, of the gospel, of one another, and shall betray one another. You see betrayal everywhere. It's a dog eat dog world to some degree. It says, "And shall hate one another." You see this happening all over the news. If you're subscribed to the news, certain news outlets, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in these cities in America. A lot of things that go on in these cities in America, man. Mamas killing children, daddies killing children, children killing daddies, children killing mamas, grandmamas getting whacked by their own children, wives and husbands getting whacked by each other because the love of many is waxing cold, families fighting one another, best friends falling out, fighting one another. Just a lot of division, a lot of vengeance, a lot of division, a lot of judgment. It says, "And many false prophets," Matthew 24:11, "and many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many." And your false prophets, man, your false prophets would be these other Israelite camps that's not teaching the full doctrine. They would be considered false prophets. The Christian church. Oh, that Christian church. That Christian church. Many false prophets. You deacons, pastors, false prophets, man. It says, "And because iniquity shall abound," I just got into this earlier, "the love of many shall wax cold." Every time I look on my phone, something about a family member whacking a family member. Brother just whacked sister's husband, or sister just whacked sister's friend, or kids just whacked the grandma. And grandma just whacked her own children. Granddaddy just whacked his own children. The love of many waxing cold. Just then, you had a father that just killed his son. This is just then. I'm not even making this stuff up. If you subscribe to different news outlets, man, you'll hear about all type of madness, all type of things. But just then, you had a son that just killed his son because the son. Salak, you had a dad that just killed his son because his son is no older than, at least, you don't look no older than 7, probably about 7, maybe 5. The father whacked his own son because his son ate up all of his snacks. I'll say that again. The father whacked his own son His son is no older than 6, 7, maybe 5. Whacked his own toddler son because his son ate up all of his snacks. Madness. Madness, man. Total madness. And that's just the beginning. All of this is just a breaking point. Imagine when this society collapses. And that's going to happen. 2nd Esdras 15, 2nd Esdras 16, 2nd Esdras 9. I'm going to get into 2nd Esdras 9 here in a minute. Imagine when this society collapses, man. Y'all think those police officers are going to be worried about y'all, man? We the prophets tell you all the time. Me specifically, I tell you all the time. Them police officers are not going to be worried about everybody else, man. They're going to be worried about their families. This is written, man. This is prophecy. This is prophetic. 2nd Esdras 15, 2nd Esdras 16. It says that the people will have no regards for authority, no regards for these politicians and mayors, no regards for authority. When this stuff hits the fan, man, it really is gonna be a dog eat dog world out here. Famine, no food, no water, no nutrition. Yeah, it's gonna be a dog eat dog world out here, man. You see the movies. They give you movies all the time. You got movies like The Purge. You got movies like I Am Legend. You got movies like The Book of Eli. You got movies like The Road. All of these end time apocalyptic movies. You had another movie that they dropped called Leave the World Behind. I still haven't seen that movie yet, but I'm gonna watch it eventually. Another apocalyptic movie called Leave the World Behind. But when this stuff hits the fan, you got all of this madness happening. The point that I'm making is you have all of this madness happening, and the world is somewhat in a constructive state. The world is somewhat in a constructive state. And you got this madness happening. Like I said, I'm subscribed to different news outlets. It's all type of madness, all type of stuff. People getting whacked. Families whacking families. People whacking each other. Best friends whacking each other. Husbands whacking wives. Wives whacking husbands. And then, it's all Yahweh's judgment. And then you have all type of miraculous things happening. People falling inside meat grinders. People people falling into different accidents, all type of judgment, the spirits of vengeance. All of these things is happening in a somewhat constructive society. Just imagine when the society is no longer constructed. That's the point. Imagine what it's going to be when society is no longer constructed. Like I said, these police officers, detectives, agents, they're going to be looking after their own family. They got their own family to protect and feed and watch over. And the prophecy already tells you that they're not going to have regards for any authority, any politicians, any officers. It's going to be a dog eat dog world. And you see that happening anyway. So just imagine when it all falls down. Matthew 24 says, but he that endure unto the end, the same should be saved. And speaking of that, the love of many waxing cold. You just had maybe a couple days ago, 3-4 days ago, some guy ran into a Walmart. Some random guy ran into a Walmart and got to stabbing everybody. Somewhere here in Michigan, somewhere in Michigan. I forget, but he just went in there and got to stabbing people. Yahweh put that spirit of vengeance on him, and he just went in there and went to start stabbing people. This stuff like this happens all the time in all of these cities and all of these regions throughout America. It says in this gospel, Matthew 24, man, we're in chapter 24. It says, in this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached. And that's what we're doing right now. This gospel is being preached unto you, those that's on the other end. You know, you see those men out there on the highways and hedges blowing the trumpet. You see those men on the social medias blowing the trumpet. You even see the men, you know, I would think, not even so much think, but, you know, if they're asked the question regarding the scrolls and prophecy and is God real and is prophecy taking its fold, you know, they answer these questions or whatnot. You know, word to mouth. Social media's word to mouth. And on the highways and hedges of chief concourse, you see these men preaching this gospel. So Matthew 24:14, and this gospel of the kingdom should be preached in all the world. That's how it's preached in all the world, via the internet, via word to mouth, via social media, which is the internet. Social media is the internet. So that's being fulfilled. It says, for a witness unto all nations. That's everybody. That's the heathens and the Israelites. The Israelites and the heathens. It says, and then shall the end come. It says, let him which is at the housetop not come down to take anything out of the house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe. What does woe mean? Woe means destruction. It says, and woe unto them that are with child. You know, children are a beautiful thing. Children are a beautiful thing. Children are a beautiful thing. The fruit of the loins, the fruit of your womb. Yahweh has created that to happen. To, replenish the land, to replenish your lineage, to repopulate, be fruitful. We know Yahweh has created that, the process of procreation, which is known as sex. And sex is pleasurable, very pleasurable. I'm assuming from what I hear, and if I'm being honest from what I saw, but I told you in times past, in lessons past, that I am a virgin, an actual virgin, so I just got to keep it all the way thorough, keep it all the way 100 with you. But we know that it's pleasurable. Using your brain. But this prophecy is saying that those with suckling children, those with infants, toddlers, those pregnant, in these times, you're basically gonna wish you never had none. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. It says, in destruction unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. Because it's going to be a dog-eat-dog world, man. Why would you want your children to be in such, born in such times, or at least at a certain age in that time? That's the point that the prophecy is making. It says, but pray that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day, for then shall be great tribulation. And that's the point. Why do you want infants and toddlers and young ones in great tribulation? You see what's happening right now to those babies in Gaza, or just babies in general, when war and catastrophe is upon the land. When war and catastrophe is upon the land, it really hits the babies, the young ones. Then it hits the women, and then next the men. It says, and the animals, and the earth itself, because everything is living. It says, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. And except those days shall be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, ding, 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 ding. For the elect's sake, those days should be shortened. Then if any man shall see unto you, lo, here is Hamashiach, or there believe it not. For there shall arise false Hamashiachs and false prophets, and show great signs and wonders, and so much that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. If it was possible, but they can't deceive us. You can't deceive the elect, for the elect was predestined. How can you deceive something that was predestined? So yeah, man. Right now you have these prophecies taking their course. This financial system is at its end. You know, no one knows if the dollar is going in or going out. You got BRICS building their own currency called BRICS, the nations. They're getting tired of the dollar. You got Trump signing these different acts. What was the first act that he signed? Well, not the Genius Act. I think that was the second one. Oh, the Big Beautiful Bill, as he puts it. He signed the Big Beautiful Bill, and then he signed the Genius Act. You know, and within these acts, you got pros and you got cons. Pros and cons, cons and pros. But you have stable coin. I believe that's with the Genius Act. They want to push in or bring in something called stable coin. And all of this is the beginning for digital currency. That's really what it is. I mean, really, let's just call a spade a spade. It's the beginning for the mark of the beast. That's just what it is. The MO to the TB. The potato chip. That's where everything is lining up to come forth into. It says Proverbs 1, but this is why we've been set up in this day, to understand these prophecies, to bring them out, social media, word to mouth, on the highways and hedges, to get the word out, to push the gospel any way possible. We were set up in this day to do so, and to warn everybody, you heathens and you Israelites and you heathens. We were set up to warn all of you. Because that's the real occupation, as the beginning of this lesson entails. What is what would a prophet be doing? What would a man of the Lord or a woman of the Lord, Yahweh, the Ancient of Days, what would he be doing in these times? Because contrary to unpopular belief, people don't realize that they living in biblical times. You know, when you have conversations with morons, you know, you can have a conversation with a moron and they be like, oh, that was in biblical times, as if we're not living in biblical times. Proverbs 1, it says, Proverbs chapter 124, it says, because I have called, this is to you Israelites, and maybe, I believe, maybe to you cleaving Gentiles, possibly. But I don't know if y'all, I still got to go into figuring out, we study to show ourselves approved, and we don't know everything. Even though we're the apostles, the scholars, prophets, we don't know every single thing. But from what I heard from my elders is that no heathen, no Gentile is getting beamed up on the chariots of Israel. So the cleaving Gentiles will be from the other parts of the world, because the prophecy says that they're going to take those captive that took them captive. That, and then you have in Isaiah 14, 1-2, it speaks of those that cleave into the house of Jacob. They're going to gather them and take them to serve in the land. So however Yahweh is going to make this thing go, it's going to go. But Proverbs 1:24 says, because I have called and you refuse, I have stretched out my hand and no man regardeth. But ye, I know this is to you Israelites. It says, but ye have set at naught all my counsel. And then again, precept upon precept, 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 Salvation is only for the Israelites. So there, I answered my question again. Every time I have that doubt on something as the salvation, the cleaving Gentiles, the cleaving heathens, or the Israelites, the spirit of Yahweh put that spirit precept upon precept. What do the precepts say? Follow the precepts. Precepts say he came for his people, Matthew 15:24, and he died for his people, and he's coming for the elect of his people. And then the Israelite, the Gentiles, the heathens are going to be gathered up. And it could be a mixed multitude. It could be those that's going to be gathered up, that's hiding, and it's going to be those that cleave, that being gathered up as well. So I'm a mortal man, but I'm not just any mortal. I'll say that again. We're mortal men, but we're not just any mortals. Proverbs 1:25, it says, but ye have set at naught all my counsel. This is to the 2/3 of Israel, and would none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear come. So, people like to say, does Yahweh have a sense of humor? Does God have a sense of humor? Clearly, Yahweh has a sense of humor. We got the ability to laugh. And clearly, it just says right here, Proverbs 1:26. Yahweh will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear comes. When your fear comes as a desolation, and your destruction come as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, then shall they call upon me. This is to you 2/3 of Israel, all 12 tribes. When you walk past us, when you fly past our post on the socials, when you walk past us, when we on the chief place of concourse, this is for you. It says when your fear comes, or just those that don't believe. It says when your fear comes as a desolation and your destruction comes as a whirlwind, the stress and anguish come upon you, then shall they call upon me. And you Israelites, man, y'all got a thing for that. Y'all got a thing for that, man. Love to call on Yahweh when everything going bad. Love to do stuff at the last minute. That's like an Israelite trait. An Israelite would be late to his own funeral. It says then, for the most part, it says, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For they that hated knowledge. What is the knowledge? The knowledge is what we're preaching. As the scripture says, in the kingdom, we will no longer teach you Israelites or persuade you Israelites to keep the commandments, to follow Yahweh Shah Mashiach, to live in the spirit to the best of your ability, to keep the laws to the best of your ability, to have faith in Hamashiach. That's the knowledge. That's what we kick. In the kingdom, it says that we will no longer kick that knowledge, because that knowledge will be in our inward parts, thus resulting in us being perfect, glorified, perfection. Right now, we're not glorified. Right now, we're not perfected. So we have to teach the knowledge. So that's the knowledge that it's talking about. Proverbs 1:29, for they that hated knowledge, that's the knowledge, and did not choose the fear of Yahweh. And ultimately, that's really the knowledge. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is top tier knowledge. It says, they would none of my counsel, which what we kick. This is what the prophets kick. This is what we kick on the socials, on the highways and hedges, word to mouth. They would none of my counsel. They despise all my reproof. You can't celebrate birthdays, Jake. You can't celebrate holidays, Jake. You can't be a adulterer, Jake. You can't be a fornicator, Jake. You can't be a thief, stealing from your people. You can't be a robber, robbing from your people. You can't have grudges and hate your people. As the scripture says in Leviticus, hold not a grudge against the children of thy people. Hold not a grudge against the children of thy people. You Israelites, this is the covenant for you Israelites, man. You're not supposed to be hurting one another, killing one another, doing things to one another. This is what these 2/3 despise, because they go ahead and do what they want to do. Sell dope to their people, kill their people, envy their people, murder their people, hold grudges against their people. Everything I just said, really everything Yahweh just said, ultimately. It says, therefore, verse 31, Proverbs 1, it says, therefore shall they eat of their own fruit. What goes around comes around. It says, therefore shall they eat of their own fruit, of their own way, and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them. When you follow these nations, being simple, following the flesh, it's being simple. And then the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whosoever hearken unto me shall dwell safely and shall be quiet. Salah. But whosoever hearken, the prophets, the teachers, the scholars, the 1/3, the elect. But whosoever hearkens unto me shall dwell in safety and shall be quiet from the fear of evil. And who's bringing the evil? Yahweh brings the evil. That's another cheat code. So when stuff hits the fan, we know who's throwing the stuff against the fan. When stuff hits the fan, we know who's throwing the stuff against the fan. Deuteronomy 32:39, it says, see now that I, Yahweh, even I, Yahweh, am he, and there is no God with me. He's the ultimate power. He's the done data. It says, I kill. Who kills? Yahweh kills. It's not Hasatan. It's not the demons. It's not even the angels, per se. It's not even us. Ultimately, it's Yahweh. We're all spirits. The demons are spirits. The angels are spirits. Humans are spirits. The animals are spirits. And he controls all of us. He's all sovereignty. Yahweh is all sovereignty. So he makes everything happen. He's the grand master chess player. He's the grand director. He's the grand artiste. It says, I kill, Yahweh kills. I make alive, Yahweh makes alive. I wound, Yahweh wounds. I heal, Yahweh heals. Neither is there any soul, spirit, that can deliver out of my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven and say, I live forever. He's eternal. Immortality. It says, if I whet my glittering sword and my hand take hold on judgment. And that's what it be. All those things that I mentioned earlier, the signs of the times, the prophetic things happening, it's all judgment from Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. That's a cheat code. That's a cheat code to know who's causing the mayhem. That's a cheat code. The secrets are revealed unto the prophets. That's a cheat code. So, you know, we just carry out the orders, man. Everybody carries out the orders. We're all spirits under Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. They're both all sovereign. Yahweh having all sovereignty, and Yahweh Shai having all sovereignty too, because he gave everything to Yahweh Shai. So that's the thing, man. That's the thing. Let's jump into 2nd Esdras 9. Real quick, real smooth. 2nd Esdras 9. I'll end it with 2nd Esdras 9. 2nd Esdras, which is Ezra. Esdras is Ezra, man. Ezra is Esdras. Esdras is Ezra. One is a Greek transliteration. One is a Hebraic transliteration or translation. So 2nd Esdras 9, it says, he said, or he answered me and said, measure you the time diligently. And that's what we do. We are occupied in prophecy. That is our true profession. Our true profession is the business of prophecy. What is the testimony of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai? It is the spirit. It is the spirit of prophecy. That is the testimony of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. 2nd Esdras 9:1, it says, and he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when you see part of the signs pass, volcano eruptions, rumors of wars, people murdering people, family murdering family, friends murdering friends, governments versus governments, kingdoms versus kingdoms, pestilences, famines, animals killing animals and animals dying off and things dying off and just death and destruction. That's the signs past. And even to those are bad signs, right? Even within that, you got good signs. The Israelites waking up, the prophets on the scene, the word, the scrolls are being opened. Babylon is falling. Yin and yang, man, the good and the bad. It says, measure thou the signs past, the prophecies, which I have told you before. Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world. It says, then shalt thou well understand the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, have spoke of those things from the days that were before you, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world has a beginning and the end is manifest. And that's the whole point of this lesson. The end is manifest. You are in the end. We are in the end times. We are at the end. Prophetic things are happening every day. Prophetic things are going to happen coming down the pike. World War III, Mark of the Beast. It's all happening. That's the whole point of this lesson. And what would a righteous, intelligent man be doing? The elect. What would a righteous, intelligent man be doing? He will be occupied in prophecies. That'll be his real feel, if you will. I like how that rhymes. He will be occupied in prophecy. And that's what we do. And that's what we're doing. Occupied in prophecy. Not only occupied in prophecy, but able to articulate and break down the prophecies like Tom Hanks and the Da Vinci Code. And you know what? After this lesson, I'm about to go watch that movie. I watched a little bit of it, but I'm going to finish it. You get so much spiritual insight out of these movies. And it's good to watch these movies because you can come up with lessons and come up with breakdowns and whatnot. But that's the whole point, man. The end is manifest. What will the prophets be doing in this time and hour? We will be occupied in prophecy. We'll be occupied in prophecy. We'll be fighting the flesh to the best of our ability. We'll be teaching and preaching the word on the highways and hedges, on these digital epistles, these videos, on social media, word to mouth. And that's what we'll be doing. That's our profession. That is why we were born in this time and age. We wasn't born here to be rich, famous. At least not yet. At least not yet. That's going to happen in the kingdom. We're going to have that in the kingdom. You know, we were born to dissect this word, to be the elect of this day, to preach and teach, and to be occupied in prophecies, to be occupied in the work of Yahweh. That was our lot. I always say this, man, in these lessons. You couldn't tell me 15, 16 years ago that I'd be breaking down these prophecies, understanding them at that, breaking them down, matching them up, and understanding everything. Just about. That was not written in my book. I had far other plans that I wanted to do. But they always say, what's the saying that's in the world? Tell God what you want to do and watch him laugh. That's the saying in the world. Tell God what you want to do and watch him laugh. Because ultimately, every soul is going to do what he ordained you to do. And I'm just happy to be on the right side of prophecy. With that, I'm going to say, Call Halam La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Occupied in prophecy, And the end is manifest. We're living in the end times. This is biblical times. And it's only going to get bigger and badder and bigger as the lead until Yahweh return. It's a build up. It's like a bump, man. It's like a pimple, like a bump. Swell up, and then it's finally time to pop. That pop is the return of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. So everything is going to build up like a pimple, build up like a bump, and then it's going to pop, and that's Yahweh Shai, ready to redeem the elect. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai.